Early in June 2014 in Kenya, the largest elephant in Africa was slaughtered by poachers for his ivory. His name was Satao, and he was 45 years old. Upon hearing the news, one resident on Kenya's south coast contacted the Sheldrick Trust in Nairobi to offer support. Michael Calnan, or Aussie Mike as he is known, locally preserves the memory of these lost animals in large wood carvings.
One day this guy came along. His name was Bernard, and he was quite old. Well, he was my age. At the time I was 52 years old, so it was 14 years ago. And Bernard wanted a job as a gardener. So I said, yeah, sure. I felt sorry for him. He was looked like a refugee. And he started slashing the grass, and after some time I noticed some scars on his face, and I said to him, Bernard, are you from this Makonde tribe down in Mozambique? He said, yes. I said, they're famous wood carvers, aren't they? He said, yes. I said, can you carve, Bernard? He just smiled, big smile, and he said, I can carve. I said, can you carve elephants? Of course I can carve. He just didn't want to tell me he was a carver because he thought I was looking for a gardener. He couldn't come up and say I'm the carver because I probably wouldn't have had a job for him. That they'd just built a swimming pool next door to where I was living, and they'd dug out this almighty root. And I looked at that root, and I looked at it and looked at it for ages and ages and ages. And I said to Bernard, have a practice on that. I'm going to cut this, and I'm going to leave a little bit here, and I want you to guide some elephants around here and do this and do that. Well, a long story short, it was about 3 years by the time it was finished. 2 years to it finishing, and then it took about another 6 months of me telling Bernard that I needed to smell the elephants. I didn't want to get splinters when I touched an elephant. And he understood, and he continued, and that was the story of Bernard and the elephant table, which is now being known, now being changed the name of, to the Satao Table, in memory of the great elephant called Satao that was recently killed by poachers in Savo. And when I heard that, I just wanted to give some money to Daphne Sheldrick, who does the Wildlife Trust at Saving the Elephants. First off, we adopted a baby elephant, which I encourage everybody to go online and look under Sheldrick, and they've got an adoption program where they're a fantastic birthday present. You give somebody, you get a certificate and say you own an elephant, and that's only $50. When the concern came up with the elephants, and I saw that the table, the Satao table, had enough room on it to carve a herd, I thought, I wonder what it was like. And I'd read a lot of my African history, and I realized that there was, in 1986, there was 1.2 million elephants in Africa. 100 years before that, there was probably 3 or 4 times as many, and I realized that they were dying out. Not dying out, being poached and for their ivory. As way back as 1800s, the late 1800s, they were having huge safaris into the center of Africa to come back with monster wagons of ivory to go to Asia. So when I saw that table, I thought what I'll do is I'll try and portray a herd of elephants as it could have been 100 years ago, and then just 3 elephants at the end to say in proportion what is really remaining of the elephants in the world.
The meticulously carved tree roots adorned with elephants can take 3 years to make and weigh up to 400 kilograms. He offered the trust to auction 2 of his largest works from his private collection and donate half the proceeds to help in their effort to curb this menacing threat to African wildlife. The proceeds from these tables are just a drop in the bucket for what is really needed to stem this outrage against the wildlife. The world needs to act now, not when they are all gone. I wonder what was going through the mind of the man who chopped down the last tree on Easter Island, Jared Diamond once wrote. The same applies now in Kenya with the elephants, and we beg everyone to give whatever support they can to assist the Sheldrick Trust address this nonsense before it's too late.